We bought an old house, my boyfriend and I. He's in charge of the new construction converting the kitchen into the master bedroom, for instance, while I'm on wallpaper removal duty. The previous owner papered every wall and ceiling. Removing it is brutal, but oddly satisfying. The best feeling is getting a long peel, similar to your skin when you're peeling from a sunburn. I don't know about you, but I kinda make a game of peeling, on the hunt for the longest piece before it rips. Under a corner section of paper in every room is a person's name and a date. Curiosity got the best of me one night, when I googled one of the names and discovered the person was a missing person. The missing date matching the date under the wallpaper. The next day I made a list of all the names and dates. Sure enough, each name was for a missing person with dates to match. We notified the police who naturally sent out the crime scene team. I overheard one text say, "Yep, it's human." Human? What's human? Where is material you removed from all the walls? This isn't wallpaper you were removing. I hate it when my brother Charlie has to go away. My parents constantly try to explain me how sick he is. I'm lucky to have a brain where all the chemicals flow properly to their destinations, like undammed rivers. When I complain about how bored I am without a brother to play with, they try to make me feel bad by pointing out that his boredom luckily far surpasses mine, considering his confinement to a dark room in an institution. I always beg for them to give him one last chance. Of course, they did it first. Charlie has been back home several times, each shorter in duration than the last. Every time without fail, it all starts again. The neighborhood cats with gouged out eyes showing up in his toy chest, my dad's razors found dropped on the body slide in the park, across the street, mom's vitamins replaced by beds of dishwasher tablets. My parents are hesitant now, using last chances sparingly. They say his disorder makes him charming, makes it easy for him to fake normalcy, and trick the doctors who cared for him into thinking he's ready for rehabilitation. That I'll just have to put up with my boredom if it means staying safe from him. I hate it when Charlie has to go away. It makes me have to pretend to be good until he's back. He awoke to the huge insect-like creatures looming over in his bed and screamed his lungs out. They left the room and he stayed up all night, shaking and wondering if it had been a dream. The next morning, there was a tap on the door. Gathering his courage, he opened it to see one of them gently place a plate filled with fried breakfast on the floor, then retreat to a safe distance. He accepted the gift. The creatures chittered excitedly. This happened every day for weeks. At first, he was worrying they were fattening him up, but after a greasy breakfast left him clutching his chest from heartburn, they were replaced with fresh fruit. As well as cooking, they poured hot steamy bath for him, even tucked him in when he went to bed. It was bizarre. One night, he awoke to gunshots and screaming. He raced downstairs to find a decapitated burglar being devoured by the insects, but disposed of the remains as best he could. He knew they had just been protecting him. One morning, the creatures wouldn't let him leave the room. He lay down, confused, but trusting as they ushered him back into bed. Hours later, a burning pain spread throughout his body. It felt like his stomach was filled with razor wire. The insects chittered as he spasmed and moaned. It was only when he felt a terrible squirming feeling beneath his skin that he realized the insects hadn't been protecting him. They had been protecting their young. It has been said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I understand the sentiment behind the saying, but it's wrong. I entered the building on a bet. I was strapped for cash and didn't buy into the old legends of the hotel to begin with. So $50 was more than enough to get me to do it. It was simple, just reach the top floor, 45th floor, and shine my flashlight from a window. The hotel was old and broken, including the elevator, so that meant hiking up the stairs. So up the stairs I went. As I reached each platform, I noted the old brass plaques displaying the floor numbers. 15, 16, 17, 18. I felt a little tired as I crept higher, but so far, no ghosts, no cannibals, no demons. Piece of cake. I can't tell you how happy I was when I entered the last stretch of numbers. I counted them aloud at each platform. 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 44. I stopped and looked back down the stairs. I must have miscounted, so I continued up. 44, one more flight. 44, and then down 10 flights. 44, 15 flights. 44, so it's been for as long as I can remember. So really isn't doing something repeatedly and expecting different results. It's knowing that the results will never ever change. It's realizing you no longer fall asleep. It's not knowing whether you've been running for days or weeks or years. It's when the sobbing slowly turns into laughter. He had been given the watch when he was 10. It was a grey plastic wristwatch in every respect except for the fact it was counting down. That is all of the time you have left in the world, son. Use it wisely, and indeed he did. As the watch ticked away, the boy, now a man, lived life to the fullest. He climbed mountains and swam oceans. He talked and laughed and lived and loved. The man was never afraid, for he knew exactly how much time he had left. Eventually, the watch began its final countdown. The old man stood looking over everything he had done, everything he had built. 5. He shook hands with his old business partner, the man who had long been his friend. 4. His dog came and licked his hand, earning a pat on the head for its companionship. 3. He hugged his son, knowing that he had been a good father. 2. He kissed his wife on the head. 1. The old man smiled and closed his eyes. Then, nothing happened. The watch beeped once and turned off. The man stood standing there, very much alive. You may think at that moment he would have been overjoyed. Instead, for the first time in his life, the man was scared. Everyone loves the first day of school, right? New year, new classes, new friend. It's a day full of potential and hope, before all the depression of reality show up to ruin all the fun. I like the first day of school for a different reason though. You see, I have a sort of power. When I look at people, I can sense a sort of aura around them. One outline is based on how long that person has to live. Most everyone I meet around my age is surrounded by a solid green hue, which means they have plenty of time left. A fair amount of them have a yellow-orangish tinge to their auras, which tends to mean a car crash or some other tragedy. Anything that takes people before their time, as they say. The real fun is when the auras venture into the red end of the spectrum though. Now and again, I'll see someone who is a walking spotlight. Those are the ones who get murdered or killed themselves. It's such a rush to see them and know their time is numbered. With that in mind, I always get to class early, so I could scout out my classmates' fates. The first kid who walked in was radiating red. I chuckled to myself, too damn bad bro. But as people kept walking in, they all had the same intense glow, but I was too stoned to move. Our professor stepped in and locked the door. His aura is sickening shade of green. When my sister Betsy and I were kids, our family lived for a while in a charming old farmhouse. We loved exploring its dusty corners and climbing the apple tree in the backyard. But our favorite thing was the ghost. We called her Mother, because she seemed so kind and nurturing. Some mornings Betsy and I would wake up, and on each of our nightstands we'd find a cup that hadn't been there the night before. Mother had left them there, worried that we'd get thirsty during the night. She just wanted to take care of us. Among the house's original furnishings was an antique wooden chair, which we kept against the back wall of the living room. Whenever we were preoccupied, watching TV or playing a game, Mother would inch that chair forward, across the room, toward us. Sometimes she'd manage to move it to the center of the room. We always felt sad putting it back against the wall. Mother just wanted to be near us. Years later, long after we'd moved out, I found an old newspaper article about the farmhouse's original occupants. She'd murdered her 2 children by giving them a cup of poisoned milk before bed. Then she changed herself. The article included the photo of the farmhouse's living room, with a woman's body hanging from a beam. Beneath her, knocked over, was that old wooden chair, placed exactly in the center of the room.